Hey, what's up, y'all? It's YORO, and I'm playing through Witch on the Holy Nights. I've wanted to for a while. I love Nasu VNs. It's been a very long time since I made a video, so I appreciate anyone who has subbed to my channel, who is watching this, or anyone watching this. But this should be fun. I haven't done a blind playthrough of a Nasu VN in a long time. I think the last one was Kagetsu Toya. Maybe you could count the first Melty Blood since that was basically a visual novel, but holy shit, a video. Crazy. So I'm excited to get into this. There's, of course, playing through different VNs and watching different Type Moon anime. I do know some of the characters in this. I know Aoko Aozaki is in it. That magician. It would be cool to see what exactly her deal is. I feel like we got a glimpse of her character, seeing her interact with Shiki at the beginning of Tsukihime, because that was super influential to his character and how he just like carried on. She seems like a good person, but I know things are complicated because you also have Toko, her older sister, and from what I saw in Fate Extra, she kind of bullies Aoko a bit, so I don't know what that's gonna be. And those are pretty much the only characters I know, and I don't know anything else that happens in this VN other than that this is a remake or remaster. I think is the right word for a VN that I hear was already beautiful, but it's like even more so now. I'm used to playing old Nasu VNs, but this is like some new stuff, you know. So this will be fun. I'm excited because I don't know what this is. I always love the stories Nasu tells, and I always love what they add in context to like the greater Nasu verse. So let's check it out. It was a winter's day 8 years ago. That solemn morning when she understood the value of life for the very first time. One of my favorite things about these VNs is always the music too. Her home was nestled on the side of a mountain. Around it was nothing but inhospitable wilderness. She had no neighbors or childhood friends to speak of. Things like traveling to school or playing outside were more trouble than they ought to be. Also, excuse the audio, I'll balance it better when I get to a main menu, but this is beautiful so far. We have a little options thing up here. Let's do a quick save, why not? Boom. Even this background, little animated CG, oh my goodness. I have to wonder if they're already talking about Aoko. Probably. I have to imagine she's like the main, but I don't know. Indeed, with its pure water and bright stars, it was a place rich with memories, both frustrating and halcyon. That was only during summer, though. Winters in those mountains were extremely frigid, each morning more severe than the last. Her father would drive her to the train station, after waiting 10 minutes for the engine to warm up and the iced-over windows to clear.
キーを回してきてくれるかい?
Her father would savor his morning coffee, leaving her to venture outside and rev the engine. This seems like describing a much simpler time in this character's life. Even the background looks, you know, it's washed out, it's nostalgic, it's pretty. Out the front door she would go, traversing the garden with icy breath until she reached that old sedan. As always, she inserted the key, then started the ignition. The engine rumbled to life, just as she proudly finished that humble task she'd done so many times before. Oh god, something's gonna fuck everything up. I guess there it is. A shrill scream pierced the air. She knew, even though it wasn't human, that the feeble sound was a cry of agony. A few moments passed. Her father came out and opened the hood of the car. Creaking fan belts. A monstrous-looking engine. Oh no. Something that didn't belong. There was a cat, a mother by the looks of it, and her 2 kittens. The 3 cats had been huddling for warmth in the engine's compartment. Oh my god. The mother cat was missing its head. I guess they spared us that gore in this CG. Jeez. One of the kittens had been mangled beyond recognition by the engine belts and surely died instantly. The other kitten, its face half covered in blood, panted faintly, "Oh my god, one survived." It desperately clung to its mother, or rather the chunk of meat that had been its mother, with the last bit of life it could muster.
かわいそうに。
Yeah. Her father lamented their plight. The previous night had been especially cold. After he had returned home yesterday, the cats must have snuck under the hood, drawn by the warmth of the engine. It slept next to the engine and awoke into a storm of spinning belts. Cars in the 80s were not sealed particularly well, so this was not unheard of, I see.
いいんだ。が悪いんじゃないんだよ。
It's turning redder and redder. Value of life. Her father's voice seemed distant. She could only make out a small tuft of the kitten's gray fur. The rest of it was caked in the blood of its mother and brother. I can see its skull. The fragile life of a speckled kitten. Trembling and possibly blind, it continued to nuzzle against its dead mother's chest.
待ちなさい。
She took the kitten into her arms and ran deep into the mountains to her grandfather's house. Was it because she was overcome with regret? Or was it the shock of grief? Years later, she still wasn't sure. Fighting back the welling tears, she burst into her grandfather's workshop. Her grandfather was a magician who could do anything. She had never seen magic. She knew that magic was a fantasy straight out of fairy tales, but so was her grandfather. Wait, who is this? She had to find him. He was the only one who could help. We talking real magician or just mages? Hold up. Who is this? Alter this kitten's fate. I have a thought, but I'm gonna save it. Hold on. The cave-dwelling magician said indifferently. This kitten needs our help, she pleaded. Whether it was a simple task or a Herculean labor, her grandfather would not say. He simply granted the girl's childish wish like a machine. Oh. Wait a sec. What? That kind of that kind of magic though. That can't be simple magecraft, because the best a magus can do as far as that is like some dead apostle shit, right? And even then, like, to revive someone, that's not normal ass magic. That's like true magic, right? And alter its fate, I was thinking like Zelrech, maybe, but I don't know. Grandfather, like, I don't know his whims or why he would act like someone's grandfather, but maybe he was, I don't know. How interesting though. Snap back to reality. Oh no, the girl said. Before she knew it, however, she was holding a tiny corpse in her hands. Its fur was cold. The warmth of life had left its body, and the tears she had fought so hard to hold back poured from her eyes. Regret spread through her chest like an endless gray sky.
トロだったな。結局元に戻すと。
And he's got that reverb on his voice, that inhuman reverb, that first Hassan-ass reverb. Her mind struggled to come to grips with what had just occurred. The last 10 minutes were a total blank. Who she met, what she had known, it was all as if it had never happened. Wait, what? Some things cannot be undone. The only thing she was sure of was that life, once extinguished, can never return. Okay, so, yeah, not a thing, I guess, even with whoever that person's power. At least in this
そこに
case.
誰かいるの？
Also, is this little Alco? Like, who is this? That day, it was her mistake that gave birth to me. Whoa. Indeed. Whatever occurred that day, it was a day of nostalgia and longing. What? So this is the perspective of... Huh? This is the fairy tale of 8 years ago. The day they first met, that no magic can ever bring back. What? Whoa. This is already crazy. I love it. I don't know what's going on, but I love this. That's Alco, I can tell that. Arrogant, greedy, and able only to destroy. I must be a wolf. I don't have regrets. There's no looking back. If my pride has left you behind, my sincere condolences. Wow, this is a shift. But at any rate, I suppose it's my fate to die at the hands of Little Red Riding Hood. Huh? One strange one. Chapter 1 of Little Red Riding Hood. So I know Alco and Toko are referred to as red and blue. I think Toko is red, so maybe, I don't know. I could have that reversed though, it has been some time. We'll find out either way. If it's even referring to that. These backgrounds are so high quality. I'm sure there's some beautiful stuff in this game, I can't wait. It was a quiet morning. From her bed, she could see the sky was an ashen, watercolor gray. Thermometer displayed 43 degrees Fahrenheit. Thank you for the freedom units. A rather unforgiving temperature for November. Her stomach woke her up with a growl, pathetically reminding her that she had completely missed breakfast. But lazy mornings like today's were, for her, a blessing. It was already well past 8 in the morning. On any ordinary weekday, tardiness would be unavoidable. But today, classes were cancelled in commemoration of the school's anniversary. Gratefully, she had every intention of taking it easy for the first time in ages. Alright. Class is cancelled. Nice. Outside the window was a gloomy gray, and it reminded her more of evening than morning. It wasn't a pleasant morning by any stretch of the imagination. But having been up all night until just 3 hours ago, she couldn't care less about the weather outside. Okay. Couldn't sleep, I guess. All she cared about was more sleep. As long as she could spend her morning in bed, what was happening outside was of no concern to her. Or she was staying up doing something. Which I guess is the same thing. She shut the curtains. And closed her eyes and tried to let sleep reclaim her.
せめてあと2時間ぐらいは凡庸な夢を見ていられますように。
Boy, do I feel you on that. Blissful slumber found her soon enough. Her consciousness faded. However, her simple request would be mercilessly refused. Oh boy. Also, nice guitars. A little amp there, some headphones. Alright. A faint but shrill sound lingered in her ears. Uh-oh, my mouse is being weird. Hold on, we're coming. It was the unmistakable ring of a telephone. Much to her chagrin, her eyes popped open out of habit.
こんな日に限って。
The telephone was situated in the foyer on the first floor. Answering it meant walking down a 30-foot corridor and going down a flight of stairs. Well, this is a huge home. In her sleep-deprived state, that distance seemed somewhere between incredibly far and astronomically far. The phone's incessant ringing continued. She knew the caller would eventually give up if she ignored it, but she chose to fight the urge.
アリス出ないの？
Alice. I know an Alice from a different Fate thing, but I don't think it's this one. But who knows? She thought... I mean, there's no way. She thought her housemate would get it, but she soon had to abandon all hope. The realization struck that her housemate did not have the day off from school and was likely in class at her prestigious little hilltop academy. The Asagami school? No. The caller proved incredibly persistent. That persistence made the volume of the ringing seem even louder.
もうせっかくの安眠を。
Pick up the phone. She was left with no choice but to get up, throw a top on, and leave the room. Oh, I should have got a better look at those posters and the rest of the room.
寒。
It's okay, we'll get to see the room again at some point, I'm sure. She rubbed her hands together to warm her numb fingers. The mansion's heating system was inadequate, to say the least, which meant that winter was the very worst of uninvited guests. Never more so than on a dreary morning as this, when one didn't need to use a thermometer to know how cold it was. The mansion sat in the mountains and was surrounded by dense forest. Winter always arrived here first before moving on to nearby towns. Dreary, dreary. The robotic ring of the telephone reverberated throughout the long hallway. The mansion's furnishings had been so perfectly maintained that it made the place feel unlived. It seemed lonelier than it did splendid. Coupled with the dreary morning, it could have passed for a haunted house. Pick up the damn phone.
ま、幽霊屋敷そのものだけど。だいたい2人で住むには広すぎるのよ、この家は。
Just this person and Alice, huh? She counted more than 30 rings since it first began. The caller either had a lot of free time on their hands or had a good understanding of the house's circumstances. Jeez. She had a strong hunch that it was the latter. I guess rotary phones just fucking keep going. Jeez. I've only ever seen one at my great-grandmother's house. But man, I guess they just keep ringing. The window above looked out onto a gloomy sky. She hastened to catch the unrelenting ring in the act as soon as possible, though she had a feeling that her happy morning might come to a close the moment she caught it. It was here that a series of incidents began. Oh boy. Apologies for the lack of romance to this tale. That's funny, but it is interesting to think of who this is the perspective of, because it said earlier that what she did that day, like her actions and her asking her grandfather and what he tried to do and just that whole incident back then, is what caused whoever this perspective, this narrator is, to exist. I don't know what that means, but that's very interesting. For whether it be objectively true or merely supposition, it is always from gloomy and unassuming beginnings that extraordinary events are set into motion. I like that. Okay, for some reason, I realize my thing is not capturing this video, so I'll probably just edit it in. But hey, Takashi Takeuchi, Kinoko Nasu. My goats. The greatest. Question is that Aoko there? I don't think so. It's not, I didn't see the red hair. So I'm really curious how they come into the story. You can tell I'm excited to see them, so. Music has been very beautiful, and this, you know, that narrator figure talking about the nostalgia and longing from back then. You kind of get that sense just from the music so far as well. Whoever this character is. Hopefully I don't have any copyright problems by having this in the video, but you know, if I do, I'll just figure it out. Fukasawa, I know that name. I forget what other works they did the music for though. I do recognize their name, but I know they have done music for other Type Moon shit. I just cannot remember. I don't know, maybe that is Aoko. I don't know. Because apparently this story takes place in what, the 80s? This could be like an early story of hers. You know, of course, before she met Shiki, when she was already like full-fledged and just out in the world. Witch on the Holy Nights. Nice. Yay. Very cool. Digging the vibe so far. The rain had subsided somewhat by the time she reached the school gate. Oh, is this, Alice? Sunlight seemed to be playing peekaboo behind the clouds in the distance. It looked like it might be cleared up by early afternoon.
と言っても、私には関係のない話だけど。
The weather reflected her luck. On top of being forced out of the house at such an early hour, she had to suffer through a winter rain. I'm getting a bad feeling about this. The sinking feeling she had only grew as she passed through the entrance and headed inside. There's always a point in these VNs where it just hits the fan, man. So we'll see. She didn't encounter any other students along the way. That wet shoe sound design, 10 out of 10. Nor did she see anyone taking part in club activities either. The reception desk to the faculty room simply read, "Faculty closed." The school had given all of its students the day off. Well, except those explicitly summoned like her. Oh, I see. Interesting. A fact that irked her more and more as the minutes passed. Very interesting. She opened the door to the faculty room and headed toward the desk she had visited a number of times before. The man at the desk wore a plain shirt and suit that were nonetheless neatly pressed. Slim framed glasses adorned his face, giving off an amicable yet cunning air. The mild-mannered image this mid-20s man presented clashed with the cigarette he smoked. Who is this? He didn't appear to have noticed her yet.
Yamashiro sensei.
Yamashiro. Or Yamashiro. She closed the door with a bang. Showing no response to the sudden sound, Mr. Yamashiro lifted his head.
やあ、おはよう、青崎くん。
Aozaki,
要
there it
件は聞い
is.
ているかな？
This has to be Aoko. She said it with an SH sound, right? On the SIRO? I have to hear her say it again.
はい。1時間前に自宅で、事前に何の相談もなく。
Oh, okay, so she got the call, and the call explicitly summoned her, so she came anyway. I see. I thought we maybe shifted to Alice, since Alice is the one who had to go to school, but she went to like a special school on a hill or whatever, so. Having graduated from this high school himself, Mr. Yamashiro was not much older than the rest of the students. But yay, Aoko hype, confirmed. This is Aoko. I had a feeling, but it's cool to have it confirmed. And she plays guitar. Fucking badass. For that reason, the students preferred him over the other teachers. He always had something interesting to talk about and kept conversations casual. In fact, he seemed more like an older student than a teacher, but she unfortunately didn't share her fellow students' fondness for him. She was of the opinion that teachers should come across as more austere, like an iron fist that could inspire both love and hate in equal measure, not a buddy to joke and pal around with. It was the exact opposite of how she felt a teacher should be. It was only natural that her manner towards him would be forced and unfriendly. Wow. No respect. Not that she'd ever been wired to make friendly small talk. Actually, let me turn down the desktop audio a little bit. It's probably a bit loud. Again, I'll have this properly adjusted by next time, hopefully. Once I see how it all sounds.
はあ、今日もご機嫌斜めみたいだね、君は。
それは先生の気のせいです。今日だけ特別という話ではありませんから。
Damn. Matter-of-fact answer perfectly matched the displeasure displayed on her face. Her bad mood from having to get up early and the tiredness from staying up late must have collectively made her look positively adversarial. She does not want to be here.
ならいいんだけどね。彼にはそう辛く当たらないでくれよ。
Oh?
僕らじゃ正直どう扱っていいかわからないところもあるし。
Guessed, huh? So, this has to be like mage crap, right? Like Aoko summoned specifically. If she already has her true magic, I imagine she would, right? So maybe it's something only she can do. Like, I mean, the fact that she's a true magician, that this is a story about Aoko, like this is really cool to me because I've always known Aoko, of course, from Tsukihime, and like hearing about her and knowing that she does true magic, but to have a story like central around a character like that is so fucking cool. It's like if we had a story about like Zelrech, right? It's like, damn. But even he would be like super interesting.
先生、その件ですけど、私まだ詳しい話を聞かされていないのですが。
Also, I don't remember the context, but didn't Aoko and Zelrech like have a connection? I don't remember the extent of it. Maybe mentor type situation, and if that is the case, if I'm remembering correctly, that would make sense for the grandfather magician that she was talking about before. Though, I don't know, that might be a reach, but... As Mr. Yamashiro met her piercing eyes, he finally understood the reason behind her tone and slowly put out his cigarette.
電話じゃあなんて聞いたの？
転入生の紹介をするとだけです。
Transfer
理由も
student.
脈絡もない説明でした。
One of Mr. Yamashiro's eyebrows stood up, impressed with the brevity of her answer. He could see that she was angry, not because she had been called to school on her day off, but because she hadn't been told why she was here. Mr. Yamashiro chuckled sympathetically.
先生、これが笑い話ならそろそろ帰っていいでしょうか。
いや、ごめん。謝るよ。冗談じゃなくて真面目な話なんだ。
Okay.
ちょっと君の手を借りたくてね。
It's a new kid, okay.
本当に転入生の問題で。
訳ありというか難しいというか。
Yeah, that's why I assume Aoko is here specifically for this kid. Like, yeah, what's the deal with him?
彼、宗十郎くんと言うんだけど、ちょっといろいろとずれていてね。僕らが案内してあげるより、同世代の君の方が適任だと思ったんだ。
Huh. Sojuro. She threw him an unamused look. It was negligent of them to be pushing teaching duties on her, but she did wonder how exactly this transfer student was peculiar. Maybe he meant the student had behavioral problems or was difficult somehow. And if this, yeah, okay, so I guess this is not magic stuff, but the fact that they're pushing this on Aoko, like, they just love her that much, like, to push this on her. But peculiar, she didn't have the slightest idea what that meant.
ずれてるなんてそう使わない表現だけど。
She had her doubts, but swept them aside for now. And is she sus? This wasn't the time to get distracted by more concerns. The fact remained that this conversation was all the peculiar she could handle, and she needed more information. She was already beginning to fantasize about saying no and curling up in her warm bed at home.
一つ質問があります。
何？あ、学年は君と同じ2年生だよ。
Hmm.
性格は落ち着きがあって人の話をよく聞くタイプ。裏を返せば覇気がないとも取れるけど、それならそれで付き合いやすいだろ。青崎くんとはクラスは違うけど、きっと仲良くな。
そういったことは本人から直接聞きますし、測ります。そうではなく、なぜ私なんでしょうか。
I love how matter of fact she is. Just no bullshit. Like, yeah, just tell me. Though her tone was still stern, it was clear that she was willing to cooperate. She decided to put her feelings of dissatisfaction aside and focus on the task at hand. Forcing herself to act empathetic in spite of her self-absorbed nature was something she was used to. Wow. That is... fair enough. As quite a very clear-cut statement to make about a character. Interesting. Paradoxically, this force of will was also the reason teachers put so much faith in her. I see. Makes sense. To a point. At times, that strength shattered expectation, and on those occasions they were left with no choice but to treat it like a natural disaster and weather until it passed. That was how Mr. Yamashiro had come to deal with her as over the past year. What does that mean? What natural disaster? Like, what are we
もう
talking
一度だ
here?
け聞きます、山城先生。
What happened? She just went that hard?
それで、なぜ私なんでしょうか。
Pressured by a question without a clear yes or no answer, he answered.
それはね、別に青崎くんが先生方に敬遠されているのと同じぐらい信頼されていて、学校のためなら教師も生徒も一緒くたに切って捨てる鉄の生徒会長だからじゃないよ。
それ以外にこんな呼びつけを受ける理由はないと思いますけど。
Bryce did nothing to hide her disbelief as she glared at him. Strength far beyond that of an ordinary 17-year-old girl. Okay, she's 17 here. Yeah, this is definitely... I mean, I already knew, but yeah. Early story for Aoko, coupled with the youthful beauty of one. Mr. Yamashiro let slip a genuine smile, admiring the miraculous balance of qualities.
いや、責務だけでいいなら僕がやってるさ。この人選に関しちゃ教師や生徒会長といった役職も関係ないよ。なんていうか、こんな頼みを損得抜きで聞いてくれるのは君だけだと思ってね。適任ですからと強く推薦したわけ。
In other words, he knew she wouldn't say no. This motherfucker.
山城先生。
This dude.
うわ、怖っ。もう睨まない睨まない。言ったろ、僕にはともかく彼には笑顔でって。とまあ納得してくれたならすぐに移動しよう。もうずいぶん待たせてしまっているからね。それと雨の中ご苦労様。帰りはもちろん車で送るよ。
Mr. Yamashiro stood up gracefully. I'm good, thanks, she replied before turning and walking out of the faculty room. Yeah, relax, dude, but appreciate it. He'd been waiting for about an hour. Oh, have we switched to our new guy? New kid on the block? While he did, the rain shower lightened into a drizzle. His mind wandered as he listened to the sound of the raindrops. God, it's very windy outside. I keep hearing our thing bang on the door. I'm like, oh, who's there? The room was filled with neatly arranged rectangular tables. He was the only one there. Quite some time had passed since he had been brought to this room and asked to wait. Even the best behaved student might have grown dissatisfied or anxious with the situation by now, but the boy stuck to his spot like a scarecrow. He was chilled to the bone. It was the end of November, and the low temperature in the morning had marked the start of winter. It's hella cold, it's gloomy. We're at school hella early, even though it's cancelled. The room was not much warmer. The heater hadn't been turned on. Either he'd missed the teacher telling him to turn it on, or he'd never seen one in his life. Also, it's interesting they're doing this while school is closed for everyone else. He did say his circumstances were strange and that he was peculiar, so maybe that's why, that they're not just doing this on a normal school day, which would be far easier for Aoko, I guess, to... I don't know. Well, not really, because now they have the freedom to just go wherever and talk and stuff, so let's see. Oh, did I miss something? He breathed lightly on his fingers. Lightly on his freezing fingers as he aimlessly surveyed his surroundings. Oh, you can quick jump. His jury place was apparently a meeting room. The other students might have considered it a wonderful place to meet, but to him it was drab and overly spacious. Also, or he'd never seen one in his life? Interesting. Apparently a meeting room. This kid seems underexposed. Sheltered, maybe. I don't know. Might be reading into things too much. It was a lifeless place that reminded him of an arid cave. Stuck in this cold room with absolutely nothing to do, his mind turned to what they wanted to discuss. Unable to come up with a solid answer, he returned his attention to the sound of the rain. The rain hardly resembled the rain in the mountains. At least from the mountains. Though he could still recognize it barely. Its smell and sound were harsher, but at the end of the day, rain was still rain. So is he from... where... Because I assume the intro was about Aoko as a little kid, where she learned the value of life, right? And that whole thing with her grandfather and what spawned the narrator. I wonder if this kid is from that incident, or maybe the one recounting it? He was the cat! Its smell and sound were harsher, but at the end of the day, rain was still rain. So even this world, alien as it was, could have something in common with the mountains. A trivial detail perked him up a little. He liked how the town looked soaked in rain. Naturally, he preferred sunny weather, but he liked rain in its own way. The fog from the rain had soaked up the scent of the soil, and it reminded him of home. It was at times like these that he was able to numb the anxiety the city gave him. Nice. But then he let out a discouraged sigh. How pathetic. He'd already been here 2 weeks, and thoughts of his hometown still made him sad. It's understandable. 2 weeks, huh? Perhaps feeling that he was being unfair to his new life, he composed himself and continued to wait patiently. As if having a passion for distractions, his attention returned to the sound of the rain once more. Waiting like this didn't seem to be particularly hard for him. He quietly endured the numbing cold and the hour alone with calm, deep breaths. As the saying goes, good things come to those who wait. A strong point of his or not, he was astonishingly patient. Yeah, I was about to say, this is telling about his character. You know, just seeing him wait here, the way it's describing him, it's a little glimpse into him. It was certainly helping him out in this moment. Also for Aoko, if she is the little girl from the beginning, which she has to be, right? Oh boy, we're back to her. The way it described her is like feigning empathy these days. That normally she is self-absorbed. We saw the complete opposite of that when her reaction to the cats dying, the way she ran to her grandfather. She wasn't sure if it was regret or the shock of it, but that was a very not self-absorbed reaction, you know. But that instant was very, I mean, the fact that it said taught her the value of life, and that the fact that the grandfather was like, some things cannot be undone. And maybe the consequence of that, or just how that shaped her, I guess is what led to this. But it's also interesting thinking of Aoko at the beginning of Tsukihime, you know, what she says to Shiki. So it makes me curious what she's going to go through in maybe revisit or maybe deal with that better, or whatever she deals with in this game that kind of leads to her more wizened or empathetic mindset again. I don't know. I could be misremembering her talk with Shiki. I would have to go back to that. It has been a while. She, on the other hand, was livid. The profile of the transfer student had been explained to her on her way to the meeting room. She was told he had lived his whole life up in the mountains without any electricity. Okay, so yeah. This is definitely new to him. When it says it's like he hadn't seen a heater, apparently this was a meeting room and he's from the mountains, yeah. No electricity. He is new. Little bumpkin here in the city. That meant more than half of civilized society would have been an utter mystery to him.
なんて絶望的な断絶。戦後どころか戦前の話じゃない。ロビンソンにも程がある。
I don't know who that is. I'll have to Google it. She had every right to be angry. So that is the special circumstance for sure. It's got a lot to figure out, along with whatever nonsense craziness happens in this game. His village had apparently remained isolated in the mountains for many years. Contact with villages in the foothills of the mountains only occurred once a month or so, which was unfathomable in modern Japan. Although expressways in Japan Rail, the old national railways, now span the country like arteries, it wasn't entirely impossible for mountain villages like his to exist. But she couldn't imagine how someone born to such circumstances would think or live.
電気がないって村に行き渡っていないだけで公衆電話ぐらいはあったんですよね。
I don't know. I don't
な
think
かった
so.
そうだよ。
Yeah.
こっちに暮らすようになってまず驚いたのが電話だそうだし、
How crazy that must be if you've never seen one before.
電話って便利ですねなんて真顔で言われてね、そういえばそうだなぁと再確認させられたぐらいだよ。
Mm-hmm. She shot a sidelong glare his way as he laughed. It seemed that the naivete of the country boy had cheered up Mr. Yamashiro a bit.
駐在もいないってことか。うちも実家は山奥ですから電気が通っていないのはありえないとは言いませんけど、そいつ学校も知らないんですか？
Family home in the mountains, yeah.
うん。どんなものかは知っていたそうだけど、実際来るのは今日が初めてらしい。それで緊張していたのかな。あまり会話も弾まなかった。ああいうのも野生児っていうのかな。狼に育てられた狼少年みたいな。あ、いや、探検隊の話だね。
My goodness.
怖いな、青崎くん。冗談だって。そう睨まないでくれ。
She cannot stand him right now.
大丈夫。話してみた感じ、おとなしい子だったから。なんていうか、言葉の通じない小動物みたいな感じ。
I knew it. He was the cat.
山城先生、その例え気休めになってませんから。
He was the cat, confirmed. He said it. She's so pissed. As she gave her blunt reply, she tried to simulate in her mind what life without electricity would be like, but the thought of it took her sour mood from bad to worse. Damn. Oh, and he's about to have to meet a very pissed off Aoko in a second, but I don't know. This is fairly normal so far. We have no indication of Aoko being a magus or true magic or anything really besides what happened when she was a kid, of course, but this isn't about any of that. This is just a new kid at the school. After all, it was a world she had never known. She could understand why the teachers had given up. She too wanted to give up and return to her warm bed, but her good-for-nothing pride was holding her hostage. Not only did the teachers believe she was up to the task, but she also believed she could do it. It wasn't that easy to go back on her word, no matter how bad things looked after the fact. That's telling about her character too. Person of her word. She walked along the hallway, the rain pattering in the background. The meeting room was already in sight. Possibly tsundere vibes from Aoko, but I don't know. I think she's just pissed right now. Clearly she cares, though. Well, we'll see. With a furrowed brow, she fixed her long hair in anticipation of meeting the unknown stranger within. Here we go. Her elegant strides were like those of a confident general going into battle.
いや、青崎くん、君を信頼してる僕だけど、念のため確認しておくよ。なんていうか、優しくね。できれば笑顔とか作れないかな。
作り笑いは苦手です。一応努力しているつもりですが。
So honest.
ああ、そうなんだ。それはよかった。
It kind of reminds me of Shiki too, Tsukihime Shiki. He's a very honest character.
いやー、ほんとよかった。青崎くんにも苦手なものってあったんだね。
Mr. Yamashita's shoulders slumped the second they reached the meeting room. As he put his hand to the door, his eyes seemed to say to her, "Be nice, please." This only made her more irritated. Oh boy.
分かってるわよ。愛想が悪いってのは。でも笑顔なんて意識して作るものじゃないんだし。だいたいそういうインスタントな人付き合いなら飛び丸の方が向いてるって。
Tobimaru. The second Okage? She sighed about her social shortcomings, but then it occurred to her that being called into school on a day off while sleep deprived wasn't anything to smile about anyway. They were just grumpy, you know, it's whatever. Understandable. She also thought the person responsible for this mess would be better off attending elementary school. It might not be his fault, but neither was it her duty or obligation to do the teacher's work for them. Yeah, this is bullshit. What the fuck? This sucks. At the very least, they could have used their brains and organized all this on a normal school day. That's what I'm saying. Another complaint she wanted to voice later.
いや、というか敵。なんであろうと敵。
Damn, sworn
悪いけ
enemy.
ど、情状酌量以前に敵。間が悪いのはお互い様っていうか、ほんと、なんでよりにもよってこんな忙しい時に。
I'm sure she's gonna end up loving this kid. Her pounding headache from a lack of sleep had boosted her aggression by 10%. Wow. No matter how harmless the guy on the other side of the door may be, anyone who disturbed her sleep was the enemy. And just as she was reaching peak annoyance, Mr. Yamashiro opened the door to the meeting room. The room slowly slid into view. She didn't care for formalities, just looked straight ahead and stormed into the room, and found herself face to face with the most unusual opponent. Interesting. What made her see him as unusual right away? Before we go on, let's see from another perspective. Turning back the clock just a little. You don't have to do anything. For some, these words are a priceless luxury. For others, they are unbearable torture. For the proactive girl, it was definitely the former, though she'd be too suspicious of the motives of anyone giving her such a gift to accept it. For the passive boy, it was definitely the latter. Ah. A bitter thorn that made him homesick, though at this very moment his mind was still distracted with the wait for his face to reveal any discontent. I see. He maintained perfect posture as he stared at the gray sky. He had already waited a whole hour, but figured they must have had their reasons for making him wait. And as long as he had the sound of the rain to soothe him, he could keep on waiting.
でもそろそろ9時を過ぎるのか。どうなんだろ
I like how the rain is keeping him grounded, picturing it in the soil and the smell, and like it's like keeping him grounded, it's reminding him of home. I have to wonder, like, if it wasn't raining, like how, because it's already said, described, like you don't have to do anything. Like for him, it's the latter, it's torture. So, you know, I wonder if we'd see him be cracking more, or what further insight we'd get. Considering his circumstances, you know. Either way, this is interesting characterization. Pretty cool. He'd been vaguely keeping track of the time as he listened to the rain. Due to the holiday, the school building was completely silent, except for the patter of the rain on the window. The mood felt as damp as the air. It was then he heard the heavy clatter of footsteps approaching. As she's
よ
coming
かっ
in,
た。忘れられているかと思った。
he could hear two sets of footsteps, one heavier set belonging to an adult. He breathed a sigh of relief as the door slid open.
すまないね。随分とお待たせしちゃって。
The first person he saw was a man wearing glasses and an awkward smile. That's Mr. Yamashiro, the one who brought me here.
ってあれ里中先生いないんですか？ひどいなあ。話し相手になってあげてと言ったのに。
Mr. Yamashiro scratched his head, looking increasingly apologetic. And then, from behind him, oh, like a general, with a tight-lipped expression that made it clear she didn't want to be there, a dark-haired girl with a determined look in her eyes appeared. I wonder what makes her hair turn red. I had no idea that she was a brown-haired girl. Ooh. A fated meeting? The song, oh my god. I like this. Face reveal. So, okay, I've seen this dude in on the Steam page when I bought the game. Sojiro gulped. The sound of the rain on the window faded into nothingness. That's when he knew. This was how it felt when time stood still. Is this his saber moment? This is his Shiro saber moment when he sees Aoko? This encounter and this song is just... This is Nasu VN as hell right now. I love it. She blinked quickly a few times as if taken aback. Why was anyone's guess? Yeah, because she felt something in that moment too. Like, that he was unusual, that she could tell right away. Like, what is it, you know? Does she see something in him inhuman? Or magic? Like, what does she know? The boy was everything she expected a naive country boy to look like. However, she felt something she couldn't understand. What is it? Possibly a reunion? Look, he might be the cat. He might be the cat, guys. I don't know. Meow meow. His eyes widened slightly as if taken aback. The reason was obvious. Putting his feeling into words was a different matter altogether, so we will never know exactly what he experienced in that moment. Interesting. It can't even describe to us how he felt, really. He is clearly smitten, though? At the very least. That's when it hit him. He sensed he'd been touched by the hands of destiny. I like that.
紹介するよ。彼が転入生の
He
静木
knows.
宗十郎くん。
Sojiro knows that this was a fated meeting. Shizuki, okay.
で、こっちの彼女が静木くんの案内役。うちの生徒会長で休日を押して新しい仲間の案内役を買って出てくれた青崎青子くんだ。
Man, young Aoko and Sojiro. His voice and the sound of the rain seemed distant. This is how they first met. Such was their start, for better or worse, like the ephemeral beauty of fireworks. God, I miss Nasu writing, man. Hopefully this localization is doing it justice. But I'm enjoying this. As usual. And the music and the art is beautiful. Definitely the best I've seen in the Nasu VN so far. Makes sense. It was commonly believed among the students that Aoko was always in a foul mood. Also, this narrator is not Sojiro, because it's so outside of... Because it's not him, it couldn't even fully describe everything that was going through his mind and his heart when he saw Aoko. But the for sure thing was like, he's been touched by destiny meeting this girl. Like, damn. I mean, what more do you need to say? But this gossip was 90% prejudice, as Aoko simply didn't have time to be irritated 24/7. The reality was she simply didn't want to explain herself all the time, and therefore seemed angry about something, obvious or not. This idle gossip did, however, lead to her earning the title of one of the school's 7 deadly threats. What the hell? The remaining 10% of the gossip was right on the mark. Aoko herself often had the feeling that her tendency to feel animosity toward harmless things was akin to what a chronic headache sufferer might experience. Today fell under that 10%. Oh no. For today, her anger was pure, and her childish and selfish display was befitting of her actual age. She is only 17, she's a kid. The meeting room was dimly lit, awash in the colors of the rain. To reduce electricity costs, school regulations forbid the use of lights during the day. And yeah, with her being so young and with seeing that incident that she went through as a kid, I'm so excited to see what she goes through in this game, and then what leads to her, being how she is when she meets Shiki. Man, and I know, different worlds, different timelines, like Mahoyo is, you can't relate that directly as like being before Tsukihime because it's a different thing altogether, but still, I think it's really, really cool. Also, no lights during the day. This was the setting the three of them found themselves in. That's tough, no lights during the day. Her first impression was that his calm demeanor reminded her of a field of wildflowers. In spite of his perfect posture, his overall air felt placid, tame even. And though describing him as meek would be going too far, at the very least he was passive. He's poised, but she can tell. Like, he's not meek, but he's passive, okay. Even through his uniform, she could see that he was thinner than average. And his neck. He has wrappings around his neck. His dark hair was unkempt, and he came across as a wholly forgettable boy. And he just looks like a kid, just a normal kid, except what's going on with his neck? Is he suffering from Tsukihime neck? It's growing like 8 feet long. If she had to look at him in a more positive light, she would describe him more a young man than a boy. It was his calm demeanor that made him seem more mature. Was that the cause of Aoko's reasonless reaction? He seemed almost too at home in the meeting room, and she was left with the impression that it was her and the teacher, not this outsider, who were the guests here. Damn. Gives off just such a mature, calm air. It's caught her off guard. She expected just some lost kid, some lost little bumpkin. Which he probably is underneath, considering how new everything is. She felt an unidentifiable aggravation building within her, almost as if her right to be here was in question. She's like, why am I here? Aoko felt herself raising her natural defenses.
信じられない。私、今わけもなく怒ってない。
She hated not understanding things, her own emotions in particular. Huh. That probably makes sense. It pained her less than you would imagine for a perfectionist like her, but it still nagged her like a thorn in her side.
いやーほら青崎くん挨拶してあげなくちゃ。
Mr. Yamashita's attempt to relieve the tension was equally irritating.
挨拶
That face. Hold on, can I? Wait a sec. Oh, you can put bookmarks. That's cute. That's the save. Place bookmark. I like that. Oh, here's the... Oh. So I wonder if there will be a main menu we can get to. Okay, I'll have to toy with this a bit. We will not mute the voice. Decrease music volume during voice audio? Maybe. We might mess with that next time, in the next part. Next time I record. Oh wow, they don't even show you the other characters if you haven't heard them yet. You can adjust individual voices. Holy moly. You can even mute them completely, that's crazy. I won't take a close look at those silhouettes. I'm sure there's many surprises, but I don't want to spoil myself. Ah. Changed color of text you've read. Sure? Oh yeah, red text color, yeah, sure. Change the opacity, low opacity's fine. Control settings. Only when read, yep. Skip for selections. Yeah, make decisions unskippable. I mean, we want that on, right? Just in case. It shouldn't be a problem. It's fine. Ah, here's what I want to see. Oh, this is... Wait a sec. Mouse controls. Yeah, okay, okay. F6 for quick save. Control fast forward, that's pretty standard. Shift to rewind. Okay. System menu for X, so if I can just pull this up again easily with X. Confirm advanced text. I've also been using spacebar for that, since my mouse was being weird. Oops. Hide text. What is BS? What the Oh, backspace. No shit, okay. Save, open the save menu, that's easy. All day 4, of course. Ooh, so yeah, that's what I wanted to see. Yeah, look at that face. I like doing this when I play these to better appreciate the backgrounds and just to see. Also, it makes making thumbnails easier. Introduce myself, huh? After casting a nasty glance in the teacher's direction, Alko turned to face the boy. From an outsider's perspective, it might have looked like a stare down. Just staring. And in that instant, the culmination of her emotional state hurtled toward the innocent boy and skewered him. Oh my goodness. Finally, just cracked, huh?
いや、待たせたね、しずきくん。
Hearing his name, Sojiro came to his senses. His stunned gaze shook loose. He took a deep breath to clear his head. Chalking it up to nerves, Mr. Yamashiro broke out a smile and turned to the girl standing beside him.
紹介するよ。彼が転入生のしずき宗十郎くん。で、こっちの彼女がしずきくんの案内役。うちの生徒会長で休日を押して新しい仲間の案内役を買って出てくれた青崎青子くんだ。
I know this guy's voice. Who is this guy? I've heard this guy's voice a lot, but I don't know where it's from. It's so familiar, but I cannot place it. If someone... I'm afraid to Google things, but if anyone maybe knows what I'm thinking of, maybe other anime or VNs that he's in, or maybe if he's voiced other characters from the VNs, let me know. Please. Having been introduced by Mr. Yamashiro, the girl took a step forward. Her eyes were merciless, her stare an unspoken threat to violently trample her opponents. She's so fierce. I didn't expect that for Alko, though this is a young Alko. I don't know, she comes across... not goofy. Maybe less serious? I haven't been very exposed to her, but of course that's adult Alko. Sojiro, on the other hand, managed to keep his own composure despite the shock at how confrontational she appeared. He had never been greeted quite like this before, but supposed mistakenly that this is how people treat each other in the city. Yeah. What else would he assume? That's hilarious. The exchange must have looked quite dramatic to an onlooker. She looks so pissed. He's like, oh, these city folk. A girl ready to brawl. Type Lumina style. An earnest country boy desperate to understand. By the way, I haven't played her yet in Type Lumina. I haven't even seen her be played in Type Lumina, so I have no idea what her abilities even are. I just know she's in the game. It was a murderous limbo, especially for anyone in the room with them. She's in black and white. Oh my goodness. Like Mr. Yamashiro, for example. Oh, he had thought he had made the right decision in choosing an honor student to help him out. She was in an inexplicably bad mood, and the tension in the air was undeniable. She lost all color. She's so pissed. Oh my, she's red now. Oh fuck. Oh shit. It was this moment that he realized his failure. His realization had come far too late. One false move and this girl, for whom no problem was too large, would be coming a storm that would rock the very foundations of the school. I can tell that's not being dramatic, that's probably accurate. Just as the almighty Joker card could bring either fortune or disaster, the sole teacher who had been present at the time would come to bear the blame for the scandal that ensued.
いけてる。二人とも気は合うようだね。
Yeah, for sure.
それじゃあ、僕はこの辺でいいかな。
Mr. Yamashiro laughed nervously as he crept toward the door.
僕は職員室にいるから、終わったら来るように。いいかい、青崎くん。くれぐれもだぜ。なんていうか、
Oh my god.
生徒会長としての度量の広さをこの際僕に信じさせてほしいかな。
Mr. Yamashiro left, leaving the two in a locked-eyed state, one in which one set of eyes was doing all the glaring. All that remained in the room was an artless boy and a cross-armed guarded girl. The two lingered in silence. They resembled shogi players agonizing over their first moves, though it was only Aoko who was reading so much into the situation. Yeah, he's just like, oh, this is weird. I guess this is how city people are. And she's just like, grrr, this boy. She decided to put her irritation aside for the time being. With no reason to feel revulsion for him in the first place, she sighed deeply and faced Sojiro.
まあいいわ。山城先生がヒルアンドンなのは今に始まったことじゃないし。
I believe that.
それで、あなた名前は？
Her tone was nothing if not reproachful, though he had done nothing to offend her. But the boy failed to pick up on it. That's for the best. Incapable of such venom himself.
ああ、静木宗十郎かな。君は青崎さんだったね。
Wow, incapable of such venom himself. Incapable. We got a good boy here. For whatever reason, he came across as happy in his response.
さんはいいわ。柄じゃないから。こっちは静木くんでいい？
いいって何が？
だから呼び方。くん付けでいいかって聞いてるの。
What do you mean? What do I mean?
何よ。おかしなこと言った？私。
Very informal.
いや、すごく。
The boy replied immediately as if it was a natural response, but quickly second-guessed himself.
いや、いいんだ。ごく一般的なんだろう。
She could tell him anything and he'll be like, oh, okay, alright.
静木くんで頼む。君は青崎でいいんだよな。
え、よろしく。
She followed her blunt reply with a swift turn away from him. While she was hardly thrilled at the prospect of the task at hand, it had been entrusted to her, and it was her personal policy to see it through to the end. It's how she is.
悪いけど、優しくしてあげる気はないから。
She commits.
時間も惜しいし、手早く行くわよ。
それは助かる。
Alright.
やっぱり時間は大切だ。
Aoko's blunt rancor was lost on him once again. For the best. I want PNGs of all these Aoko faces. Humans tend to be overly conscious about being ignored, whatever form that takes. But despite being peeved at landing none of her attacks, Aoko did her best to act professional and directed her guest into the hallway. Her venom has no effect. There was no sunlight in the hallway, nor any sign of life. This was more like a prison than the cave that was the meeting room. As it dawned on Aoko that the hallway matched her mood, she sighed once again.
まず聞いておくけど、山城先生から聞いたことは理解してる？
Let's do a little save. Yeah. There we go. Nice. You can copy and delete and all that. Cool. One thing I do want to do is maybe turn down the music just a bit. I enjoy it a lot, but I fear that I may be screwing myself over later in audio if I don't do this now.
Ah, 学校の仕組みについては分かった。この建物全部に同い年の人間がいるなんてちょっと想像できないけど。
そう、よかったわね。
Alright, he gets that much. Aoko rubbed her forehead. The Sojiro kid had no idea what he was in for. Apparently, all he'd heard about school was that it was a place where a lot of people met to study. I mean, yes. Socially, it is, ugh. Yeah. High school teachers imparted to students their knowledge in various fields of study while fostering discipline and creativity. But never did Aoko imagine that she would have to explain the concept of school itself to someone. Yes, fundamentals were important, but this was absurd. She had serious doubts whether he could even handle classes, but Mr. Yamashiro insisted that things would work out somehow. Yeah, he's probably right. Sojiro had managed to pass the transfer exam after all. Barely. Hey, he passed.
ま、私には関係ないけど。
Kid's got potential. Aoko grumbled mentally as she walked down the hallway. Not my problem, man. She consoled herself with the fact that today would be the only day she'd spend with this boy out of time, or at least she'd try to keep it that way. Yeah, I'm sure, Aoko.
青崎、
He asked, calmly trying to get her attention.
何？
こっちも一つ聞いていいかな。
だから何？
Her faces are killing me. That is so good.
俺の気のせいだと思うんだが、君はまるで何かを睨んでいるように見える。
Oh, he finally passed his insight check. Nice.
やはり今朝は悪いものでも。
No. Good insight. His gaze revealed earnest concern as if asking her if she'd remembered to eat breakfast. My man's really concerned. He's a good boy. You can tell he's a good kid. Oh. Okay, that was the best face so far. It was like another hammer to her head. Oh my goodness. You know, I didn't think someone could rival the Rin faces. But holy moly. Like, seeing Rin get upset is top. This is holy. Night. It was true that Aoko had been glaring at Sojiro the entire time. Glaring red-hot daggers, in fact. Not just at him, but the universe. Even on her best days, her roommate used to remark,
青子の視線は普通の人には厳しいわ。
Oh, this is Alice.
もう少し多くのことに寛大になるべきね。
10%, huh? 10%. She'd been warned that her emotions were so naked on her face that people treated her like a powder keg. How naive could the boy be that he could not pick up on this?
私をバカにしてるってわけじゃなさそうよ
Nope,
ね。
he's not.
この場合。
Even she found her own attempt to reassure herself unconvincing. It began to dawn on Aoko far too late. That compared to her, this laid-back transfer student might as well have been from another planet.
いいわ。言葉にしないとわからないようだから言うけど。
Oh boy.
まるでじゃなくて。
Okay.
あなたの気のせいじゃなくて、私は視線で遠回しに感情を表現してたの。いちいち声に出すのも会話にするのも面倒だから。
In response to her words, the Martian clapped his hands together. Oh, wow. Nice.
なるほど。どうしてそうしたいのかはわからないが、確かにそっちの方が手っ取り早い意思表現だ。
The Martian. Sojiro accepted her reasoning without argument, though he still had no idea what kinds of emotions she was trying to express. It was as if he could hear the words but didn't grasp the meaning. Ideas that should have connected were instead separated into blocks.
確かにずれてるわ、こいつ。
Indeed. Mr. Yamashita's words made sense to her now. What was odd about this boy went way beyond naivety. A stranger in a strange land he may be, but it was only civilized to forgive him some jet-lagged-induced confusion.
じゃ、とりあえずあなたの教室に行くから。
He completely just catches her off guard. Like her normal venom doesn't get to him, so he's able to like, even though it's not intentional, he can not see past the surface yet, but that's what everyone else sees about Aoko. So the fact that he's oblivious to it means he's gonna be open to see like much more of her. I think that's cool. I like that he's different in that way. How they described everyone else reacting to Aoko. Plus you can tell he's good. She had regained her composure. Sojiro raised his hand and stopped in his tracks.
あと一つ。
Aoko waited for Sojiro to continue. The boy was patient to a fault. She rubbed her forehead with her hand again, nursing a vague feeling of uneasiness.
これもちょっとした疑問なんだが、なんで君は怒ってるんだ？
Oh boy.
怒るのが商売とか、そういう家柄の人なのか？
Run in your family. I mean, it's possible. Toko do be pissed off sometimes. A long silence. Though she knew it wouldn't change the situation, she remembered her regret at answering the phone that morning. He meant no harm. Nah. She repeated this thought like a mantra in an attempt to keep her impulses in check.
別にあなたのせいじゃないから気にする必要はないわ。ただ、この一瞬とお昼まで眠っていた場合を計りにかけたら、あまりに利益の違いがあって頭を抱えただけよ。
They were seeing a lot of that self-absorbed part of her, which she claims is like the empathy is like the mask over that, but that's probably the real mask, but I don't know. That vague answer, she started to walk again. I don't mean to sound like I'm trying to analyze her or some shit, but clearly there's more going on with her, and I'm excited. It's Aoko! And turned her gaze away from this rude stranger named Sojiro Shizuki. While what constitutes normal is certainly up for debate, most would undoubtedly refer to him as so. He was a simple and nice boy with nondescript features. If he were an ice cream flavor, he would be vanilla. Yeah, I could see that. And Sojiro found Aoko to be very businesslike and full of life. That seems like a much more full of life. I like that. There was a certain purpose to her movements as they began and ended in an orderly fashion. The way her finger raised when she pointed at things. The way she made her way across the hallways and classrooms. The way she would occasionally glance back at him to make sure he was keeping pace. Each and every movement was so impressive that he couldn't take his eyes off her. My man is fascinated. Aoko showed him to his homeroom Class C of the 11th grade. I just love the way he sees her, full of life. Everyone just sees this angry girl. He's just like, wow, the way she moves. The room certainly displayed more of a human touch more than the previous meeting room, but Sojiro was none the wiser as to its function. Aoko gave a brief explanation before they visited individual subject classrooms, as well as the gym, cafeteria, locker room, and school infirmary. Also, dude, moving CGs. Holy moly. They're just animated the whole time. And the music. This is just beautiful so far. Gotta show appreciation. Sojiro asked so many questions that much time passed before they reached the AV room on the second floor.
まずいな。
Sojiro stopped, looking genuinely concerned. Uh-oh.
あと20分経つと1時だ。
Wait, what? 20 to
嘘
1.
でしょ。うちの校舎そんな広くないわよ。
Oh, I see the time. Duh. The tour had begun around 10, which meant that 3 hours had passed. A tour of a school shouldn't take anywhere near this long.
そうだったわね。行く先々で根掘り葉掘り聞かれちゃ、そりゃ何時間でも経つわ。
That makes
日が
sense.
暮れていないのが不思議なくらいね。
He keeps asking questions, yeah. Aoko glared at Sojiro. She was being sarcastic, of course, knowing full well he would never pick up on it. Is he? To her surprise, he looked down apologetically, unable to hide his dejection. Yeah, he did not pick up the sarcasm. He's like, oh no.
なんだこいつ。ちゃんとしてるっちゃ。
No. The guy before her now was nothing like earlier. In contrast to seeing his once impenetrable veneer when they first met, she found herself feeling sympathetic. Ah. Momentarily, at least, until her irritation returned in full force. Alright, we got a glimpse.
で、何がまずいの？覚えることが多すぎてパンクした。なんて言わないでね。
This boy disarms her, though.
いや、それもあるけど、
Sojiro.
学校のことは別にして、1時になるとまずいんだ。
Sojiro's gaze wandered as if worried about something. Yeah, why is he so worried about the time? If he was worried about the weather, he would have a hard time seeing it, as there was no windows in this hallway.
へえ、時間を気にするってことは用事があるのね。そう。人の予定を引っかき回しておいて、
Wow.
自分だけ好きなようにやろうって言うんだ。なんだ、顔に似合わずいい人ね、君。
Damn, you don't know. Could have like a sick grandma.
いや、
Oh
褒め
shit.
ても何も出ないぞ。
The expressions are, oh my god. At first I thought it was like just Alco, but the eyes, the brows. Takeuchi, killing it, as always. But his neck, what is up with his neck? I mean, it's probably just an injury, but I don't know. It's part of his design.
誰も褒めちゃいないわよ。
That's nice of you to say. I barely read that. She yelled at him, unable to hold back her fury.
で、
で、
それで、
Deh?
一体何の用なの？
Yeah, what's up? Sojiro's face lit up as he finally understood what she was asking him.
そこは秘密にしておきたい。
Oh, alright. Bewilderment, he said with a perfectly straight face.
慣れ始めたつもりだったけど、こいつのこういったテンポには失神しそうになるわ。
She cannot get a read on him. I love it. Just catching her off guard all the time. But wow, mysterious. It's a secret. Frustration was natural. Still, she did everything she could to stifle her feelings and fake a smile. I take back what I said earlier. Aoko is blunt, but she's not very honest. This guy is honest.
Shizuki くん、
She took a step forward.
秘密だってば。
I mean, she's certainly honest about her irritation and just that, but you know, there's more complexities we kind of see. For him, it's just like he's so just matter of fact, and even though clearly there's mystery to him, his demeanor and just the way he is, it's like almost like a childlike honesty, you know? Feeling the mood change drastically, Sojiro took a step back. And another. And another. No matter how many steps he took back, she kept edging toward him. She was smiling, but he thought he could see the blood boiling beneath her skin.
これ最後の質問にしとくわね。あなた 私をからかって
Oh
楽しい？
no. Oh no. He had no intention of mocking her, though at this point he doubted presenting any evidence. He doubted presenting any evidence to prove this would do much to erase that forced smile on her face.
わかった。説明する。
Her forced smile might be scarier than Rin's. I don't know. His arms raised in surrender. She halted her advance and freed her face from that unseemly smile.
実は1時からアルバイトがあるんだ。でも、
Oh.
ここはそういうの禁止なんだろ？
そうだけど、あ、禁止されてるから秘密にしようと思ったの？バカね。それなら許可さえ下りていれば問題ないわよ。
Huh, okay, he just has a job, alright.
知ってる。試験の時に許可はもらってる。
へえ。
Aoko's face lit up as she realized he might not be the piece of work she thought him to be. Yet,
しかし、許可は一つしかもらえなかった。
yeah, you have multiple? Oh my goodness.
一つって、あなた掛け持ちでバイトしてるの？
これでも2件減らしたんだ。
Oh my goodness.
生活費だけで大変なのに、学費まで稼がなくちゃいけない。なのに、働き先は一つだけというのはあんまりだと思わないか。
Man, that is too real. Is he living by himself, just providing for himself? Maybe it's just him who came from his mountain village. I mean, you know, their whole family could be struggling, of course. But damn, too real.
あんまりなのはあなたの方だと思うけど。
Though still irritated, her opinion of him changed a little. She was impressed that he was able to take care of his tuition and living expenses all on his own. Yeah, there's definitely that maturity showing. She could also empathize with having no time to oneself. Her anger began to subside. Yeah, she's understanding him more. The words part-time job were about the last thing she ever expected to hear out of this country boy's mouth.
そういうことなら仕方ないわね。
Mm-hmm.
いいわ、行きなさいよ。事情は分かったから。
青崎はいいのか？
She had no idea what his question meant, but she at least understood he was trying to be considerate, yeah. He means well, which also took her by surprise. She figured he'd be just as dense about people's feelings as he was about everything else. Yeah, he doesn't seem to be. It's got some good insight.
別に、私もこのまま帰るから。
It's too good. First though, she thought it best that they both stop by the faculty room. Mr. Yamashiro had mentioned that the transfer procedures had already been completed, so all that remained was for him to sign off on her duties.
先生、案内終わりました。
それはお疲れ様。しずきくんもお疲れ様。それ
ありがとうございます。なんというか、とても学校ですね。
It is.
そうかそうか。うん、明日から頑張りなさい。
She had no interest whatsoever in this pointless wrap-up meeting.
山城先生のことは気にしないでいいわ。教え子に厄介なことを押し付けてふんぞり返っているぐらい職員室が好きなんだから、何時間でも待ってるでしょ。
Damn.
いえ、待ってるべきじゃない？
そうか。青崎がいいんならいいんだな。
Wow. There it was again. Whatever Sojiro was getting at, Aoko had no idea.
それじゃあ行くよ。今日はありがとう。
今日だけよ、今日だけ。
Uh-huh, sure. Today only. She shooed him away with her hands. His face bent into a broad smile as if he found the gesture endearing. It was a softer expression that she'd grown accustomed to seeing out of him. It was the kind of smile that would make anyone smile back. Well, most people at least. Aoko Aozaki didn't portray the slightest hint of a smile.
それじゃあまた。
は？
He knows. Like it said, he knew in the moment he met her that it was destiny. So he's like, yeah, see you later. Huh? And with that friendly farewell, Sojiro walked toward the end of the hallway. Or so she thought before he turned into the next class over. Damn it. Sojiro headed straight for one of the classroom's windows. Wait, he just... Huh? Dude just jumped out the window? Whereupon he opened it with ease. The chilly November air filled the room as the soft sounds of the rain doubled in volume. I swear if he jumps and hits the ground, and he lands on his feet, and he meows, I'm gonna lose my shit. In that instant, she realized his intention with opening the window. She really wished she hadn't. Oh my goodness.
待て待て待て
He's hella gonna jump. He already had one leg out the window when she dashed to stop him.
何するつもりよあんたは
何ってアルバイトに行くんだけど。
Bro.
その窓は人が出入りするところじゃないのだいたいここ何階だと思ってるの
She saw the light of understanding dawn in his eyes. This kid almost died. Oh my goodness.
死ぬところだった。2階から降りたら危なすぎる。
Damn it, Sojiro.
危ないのはあんたの頭
Bro thought the window was an exit. Dude, how isolated is this village? Her insult went right over his head.
あのねこっちじゃ窓から人は出入りしないのさっき言っとくべきだった
知ってるよ。時間がないんで慌ててたんだ。
What?
ありがとう。これからは気をつける。
Please, bro. You probably don't have multiple floors where he's from, but... Or proper schools, of course, but damn. I don't think they had any schools, because he just had to learn the concept of it. He pulled his leg back inside and closed the window. His school uniform was soaking wet from the rain.
いいけど私は別にあなたがどこから外に出ようが関係ないものただできれば私の前ではやらないでほしいだけよ
Yeah, good on Alco for reacting so quickly.
それよりあなた本当に明日から学校に来るの
I mean, you think any decent person would stop someone from jumping the window to their death, right? So, you know, Alco definitely cares. Alco's not a bad person, of course.
来るよ。不安だけど案内してもらったし。
Because she realized right away when she saw him turn into the classroom, like she realized right away. He bade her farewell before running away down the hallway. He goes to another classroom. She hoped he would walk down the stairs and leave through the school entrance like a normal person.
大丈夫なのかあんなんで
The image of him disappearing into the distance popped into her head in spite of her ire. She had no intention of spending any more time with him, and yet she felt strangely anxious. You care. You care. She couldn't tell if the feeling was fueled by concern or irritation, probably both. Thin line. Why had she even gotten angry with this insignificant transfer student in the first place? A strange day with a strange transfer student resulting in strange emotions. Her head tilted as she reflected on what should have been a more enjoyable day than the irritating experience she just had. Oh man, she's gonna come to understand these feelings and... all this shit. You care, Alco, you care.
いっかどうせこれっきりなんだし
Uh-huh. Definitely tsundere. The sound of the rain echoed quietly all around her. The gray sky seemed frozen in time. It was impossible to discern whether it was morning or evening. Mr. Yamashiro and Alco were likely the only ones left at school. The unit classroom looked overly gloomy and ominous as Alco stood in it alone. She pulled up her left sleeve. Her dainty, unremarkable watch showed that it was almost 1 o'clock.
時間合ってる
She looked out the window at the grounds below. She saw a boy in uniform running through the rain without an umbrella, a sight she must have seen before but for whatever reason affected her far more than she wished. Damn, no umbrella. You care. Aoko did not stop by the faculty room before heading home. While Mr. Yamasiro's offer to drive her home was tempting, she decided it would ultimately be far more satisfying to ruin his day just as he had hers. She walked as quietly as she could toward the entrance and opened her bright red umbrella. She had predicted that morning the rain was waning in the afternoon. At this rate, it would probably cease completely in an hour or so. The distant sunshine would likely have reached her by the time she arrived home. I like the contrast of the umbrella.
ま、それも悪くないか。
She shrugged her shoulders in resignation. She neither liked nor disliked rain, but she found herself enjoying her walk home with her red umbrella in hand. Nice. The teachers at Misaki High School weren't fond of bright colors, so Aoko's red umbrella was an unusual sight. A ghost story about how the umbrella was once pure white had been making the rounds, but it featured Aoko instead of a ghost. Wow. It was with that umbrella that she made her way toward Misaki Station. Man, a lot of rumors about Aoko. I feel bad. Very misunderstood girl. Misaki Private High School took its namesake from the town it was in. The area was once a sprawl of farmland and woodland, but rapid growth over the last 10 years had led to unprecedented modernization. There were some who fought to preserve Misaki's natural treasures.
残すことには賛成ですが、それでは残すだけになってしまうでしょう。
With those words, the mayor snuffed out the voices of the minority and ushered in a long-term plan for new urban development. Goodness. More than enough funds for the urban development were collected, and the unassuming town of Misaki became the largest municipality of Misaki City in nearly 10 years. Even though it lacked the modernity of neighboring Yashirogi, or the elegance of Misaki Hills.
それも当然よね。どういじくっても、もともとが山中の宿場町だし、山ごと切り崩すって言うんなら別だけど。
I see, so this is the same, probably the same town they described in the beginning. For some reason I thought it was different. I don't know why I thought that. Urbanization had been contained to the lowlands around the station, with most of the hills and mountains still standing as they did 10 years prior. The exhaustion of funds succeeded in protecting the old Misaki where the citizens could not. It became a truly odd suburban town, welcoming an increasingly urban population with its vestiges of old country charm. Misaki High School was a private school established long before the town's current state. The original campus built 50 years ago was located high up in the mountains, making its current location its second incarnation. Okay, the path to the old grounds was not only steep and remote, it had become an overgrown game trail with the passage of time. For these reasons, among others, Misaki High School had been shuttered until almost 20 years ago when it received a donation from a department store chain that allowed for the construction of a new campus in the city. And thus, Misaki High School reopened its doors, the old woodland campus forgotten. In fact, most of the students attending Misaki High School were not from Misaki at all. The hardy rustic people of this country town preferred prefectural schools to private ones. Truth be told, Aoko herself was one of them. All she had wanted after junior high was to move to Tokyo, where she hoped to spend her days touring her favorite bands on her way to entering a public university. But her hopes were dashed with her sister's departure, Toko. So here she was, walking alone in town with only a red umbrella to keep her company on what should have been a day off. So why did Toko leaving mean that Aoko couldn't? I guess someone had to stay in their family home? I don't know.
思い返してみると、私の人生ってなんか災難続きっぽい。
Damn. Her frustration evaporated into the cold December air.
でもま、いっか。退屈だけはしないわけだし。
Didn't it say November earlier? With those words, her mood brightened a bit as she left the school in her wake. The busier part of town met her at the bottom of the gently sloping road. Maybe the intro was November. Oh. Misaki's train station was brand new. Once looking no prettier than an abandoned factory, it had been renovated into a multi-purpose structure with huge department stores on its east and west sides. When the department stores first opened, Aoko and her friends had been impressed with their modern feel, but in time the stores too became dated. She had no shopping to do today, so she passed them by. What she really wanted to do was rest at a cafe, but she fought the urge, knowing her roommate would never let her hear the end of it if she frittered away her money. Whoa, hold up. What is... She looked back and blinked. For just a moment, she could have sworn she had seen someone suspicious in a red dress out of the corner of her eye. Wait. Huh? Don't tell me it's Toko. It must have been her imagination. The sixth sense chill she was experiencing down her spine was a familiar one at this point. She continued her walk home, brushing off the event as if it had never happened. Red dress. In time, the chill faded and all that was left was the sounds of the town. She sighed heavily. Had she imagined it? Even if it had all been in her head, she was far from comfortable with the feeling that still lingered.
夏場の方ってもう少しこう
Wow. She grumbled under her breath.
波乱万丈、商売繁盛、商業無常と。そうそう、忙しさに愚痴を言っても始まらないわ。
Unfortunately, summer and bugs go hand in hand. She could see how bugs could be drawn to all the sweet fruit. Wait, so was it? Huh. Wait, is this our boy's job? He's in the kitchen? Oh, look at all those orders. Alright, I think this is where I'm gonna stop for now. Probably play again in a day or two. Well, I have a day off in a few days, so most likely then. So, yeah, so far this is interesting. I'm liking this song and all the music so far and what it's setting up. Our setting, our characters. We met Aoko. A mention of Toko, possibly her coming to revisit, and Aoko talking about bugs. Which I wonder if she's like, if she thought it was her, like, you know, this bad thing happening or this weird thing happening, like this will pass, like whatever. Bugs are drawn to sweet fruit. Like I wonder if she's talking about her sister. But Sojiro is interesting. I like his character. I like what I see so far. He's calm, but he's very like genuine. It's like sweet too. Very it's not just being naive. Dude just does not know. There's certain just common sense, I guess, that we're all raised with that we know that he's just like, oh, I guess I can't jump out of this second or third story window. Dang, okay. Alright. You know? I like him though. Yeah, I'm digging the characterization, the production value of things. I'm sure I haven't seen nothing yet. But cool start. Like what we've seen of the characters, like what it's set up about, the setting, and kind of the nostalgic and the way the town has changed and how we saw it back then, and the narrator perspective talking about the longing and nostalgia of back then, and it's definitely a theme within this, you know. But yeah, I'm looking forward to more. So thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed, and I'll work out the kinks as far as audio and all that stuff. But yeah, feels good to record another video. So like I said, more of this, more Fate Extra / Last Encore. We gotta finish that, and I gotta start Higurashi Chapter 2, because oh my god, the Ryukishi 07, love his writing. So we gotta continue that, because that story is, I need to see the end of that. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.